There's a truth about twin flames that goes against almost everything you've ever heard about love, soulmates, or spiritual relationships. A truth that patriarchal society itself has tried to bury for thousands of years. A truth that Carl Jung, through his deepest psychological explorations, quietly rediscovered. It is the truth that the feminine defines the union. And when I say feminine, I don't mean the physical woman or the external gender you see in the mirror. I mean the feminine principle, the inner magnetic, creative, receptive energy that exists within every soul, regardless of whether that soul lives in a male or female body. You'll realize something the ancient mystics already knew. The feminine is the origin of creation, the principle that decides whether energy will manifest or dissolve, whether union will happen or not. The masculine, for all its outward action and direction, is the reactive pole. It responds, reflects, and aligns to the energetic field generated by the feminine. This law is cosmic. It is as immutable as gravity or the movement of the stars. The feminine creates the magnetic field. The masculine aligns to it. It has always been this way, and it always will be. But here's the problem. Most people carrying more feminine energy have forgotten this truth. They've been conditioned by culture, religion, and generational trauma to believe they must chase love, prove their worth, wait to be chosen, or fight for affection. They've been told that love requires suffering, effort, and sacrifice, and that conditioning has inverted the natural energetic order of creation. It has turned millions of twin flame connections into endless cycles of runner and chaser, of longing and avoidance, of deep love that cannot find physical expression because the energy between the two is reversed. If you are hearing these words right now, it's not by chance. Your soul brought you here to remember this sacred truth, because perhaps you are one of those souls trying to force union using masculine energy when you are meant to align through the feminine, through stillness, choice, and magnetism. Carl Jung spent decades studying the anima and animus, the feminine and masculine principles within the human psyche. Through that exploration, he realized that every human relationship is an alchemical dance between these polarities. When the polarities are aligned, when each person honors their natural energetic role, love flows naturally, magnetically, without struggle. But when those roles are reversed, chaos arises. The feminine, Jung found, is not passive. She is receptive, but she chooses consciously. She is still, but her stillness is filled with power. She is magnetic, not aggressive, like the earth that decides which seeds to let sprout. The masculine, on the other hand, is directional. He gives, radiates, and penetrates through purpose and clarity, just as the sun pours light over the earth without asking to be received. When the earth opens, life blooms effortlessly. This harmony between giving and receiving is the natural flow of love itself. But when the feminine chases and the masculine retreats, the current reverses, the polarity collapses. And that is when the connection becomes painful, obsessive, and confusing. Most people confuse polarity with gender roles. They think being feminine means being submissive, or being masculine means dominating. Jung emphasized that this misunderstanding is the root of relational suffering. The feminine principle is not weak, it is decisive. It defines what can manifest. It chooses which energies are allowed to exist within her field. The masculine principle is not domineering, it is responsive. It is the consciousness that follows direction, that seeks to merge with the magnetic field the feminine creates. Every twin flame pair carries both aspects, but in any particular connection, one soul embodies more of the feminine current and the other more of the masculine. That polarity is what creates the soul charge, the electricity that pulls the two together beyond logic. Yet, the union itself, the stable, conscious merging, can only occur when the feminine moves first energetically, not physically. To move first does not mean to chase. It means to turn inward, to choose oneself as the first home of love. Jung called this the process of individuation, the sacred journey of becoming whole within oneself, rather than seeking wholeness through another. The feminine must move first, not by running toward the masculine, but by reclaiming her own soul. This is the paradox. In the twin flame journey, the moment she stops running toward him is the moment he begins to feel her again. Because energetically, when she stops chasing, the magnetic field corrects itself. He can finally feel the pull again, the natural, irresistible draw that was always meant to guide him home. You can recognize your polarity not by your gender, but by how you experience love. If you are the feminine pole, your attraction is deeply selective and magnetic. You don't fall for just anyone. When you meet your twin flame, the connection feels cosmic, cellular, impossible to ignore. You feel drawn to merge completely, to dissolve separation. And when distance arises, it feels like losing a part of your soul. You might find yourself idealizing your twin, seeing them as perfect, as your missing piece. You might want to fix them, heal them, save them. But all of these impulses are symptoms of distorted feminine energy, because the true feminine does not chase. She does not convince, control, or prove. She radiates. She allows. She chooses. Like a rose, she does not beg for the bee to come. She blooms, and through that authentic beauty, she becomes irresistible. If you are the masculine pole, your attraction feels targeted and sure. You feel compelled to protect, to stabilize, to act. But your actions depend entirely on the magnetic signal of the feminine. When she is sovereign and centered, you feel called to approach. When she is needy or chasing, you instinctively pull away, not from cruelty, but from an energetic dissonance you cannot explain. This is not logic. This is cosmic design. You'll notice that when women in his practice try to win love through pursuit or control, their partners inevitably withdrew. But when these same women reclaimed their autonomy, when they focused on themselves, pursued their creativity, their healing, their truth, their partners reappeared, often without understanding why. He documented case after case where energetic alignment created real-world change. One patient spent 2 years chasing a man she believed was her soul counterpart. She gave up her ambitions, rearranged her life for him, silenced her truth. He drifted away. When Jung helped her focus entirely on her own individuation, on her passions, her emotional healing, her sovereignty, everything changed. Within weeks, the same man began to reach out, seeking her attention. But the most striking part was this. When he finally came back, she no longer needed him. She could choose him consciously, not desperately. That is the alchemy of the twin flame journey, the transformation of need into choice. You can only attract what you do not need. You can only magnetize what you can freely choose to receive or decline. When you need love to feel complete, you radiate lack, and lack repels abundance. When you are love, you radiate wholeness, and wholeness attracts wholeness. This is why the feminine's first movement must be towards self-love, not as a tactic, not to get him back, but because that is the truth of her essence. The moment she stops trying to earn love and begins to become love, the entire dynamic changes. The masculine feels this like a tuning fork resonating to the right frequency. So how do you apply this in your life? It starts with one simple but radical act. Stop doing everything you've been doing to make the union happen. Stop analyzing every message, every silence, every sign. Stop living in emotional orbit around your twin and begin to turn all that immense energy inward. Ask yourself, what do I want for my life? What am I creating right now? What parts of myself have I abandoned in the name of this love? Return to your passions, your friendships, your creative fire. Rebuild your identity as a whole, luminous being, not as someone waiting for completion. When you do this sincerely, not as performance, But as truth, you shift dimensions. You begin to radiate abundance instead of absence. And abundance is magnetic. When this inner transformation happens, the masculine feels it instantly, often without words. Something in his soul recognizes that the field has shifted. He feels safe again to approach, drawn not by guilt or obligation, but by genuine resonance. Because for the masculine to love fully, he must sense that the feminine stands in her own power. He cannot offer his light to someone who keeps dimming her own. But when she stands radiant, self-sustained, and sovereign, he feels inspired. He feels a deep, instinctive urge to match her frequency, not because she asked, but because her energy calls him forward. That is how divine balance is restored. Many believe the goal of this journey is union with another person. But Jung, and every mystic who ever touched this truth, knew that the real purpose is union with oneself. The twin flame connection exists to mirror every aspect of yourself you have disowned, your shadows, wounds, and divine potential. It's a sacred mirror that shows you the parts of your soul you must reclaim to become whole. Once that inner union occurs, the outer union, if aligned, will manifest naturally. If it doesn't, you still attain what your soul truly sought: integration, wholeness, sovereignty. Because a complete being no longer searches for love outside, they emanate it. They become a living vibration of divine love itself. Jung called this process individuation, the integration of the conscious and unconscious, the merging of light and shadow. It's the psychological and spiritual equivalent of what mystics call enlightenment. For the twin flame feminine, individuation means recognizing you are not half of a soul searching for completion. You are a complete soul remembering your wholeness through the mirror of another. From this awareness, your love becomes mature, grounded, and free. You love because you choose to, not because you must. You connect because you wish to share, not because you need to fill a void. That is conscious love, love born from abundance, not lack. True sovereignty is not distance or detachment. It is presence within self. It is knowing you can open your heart without losing your center. When union happens, and for many, it will, you must maintain that sovereignty. Otherwise, the old dynamics will return, and the magnetic balance will collapse again. Sovereignty must become a way of life, not a temporary strategy. When two sovereign souls come together, they don't fuse and lose themselves. They create a union of opposites, a divine alchemy that produces something greater than either could alone. It's like two instruments tuned perfectly. Each keeps its own tone, yet together they create a melody that vibrates through eternity. Only about 5% of souls on this journey ever make this energetic inversion, not because it's rare, but because it's radical. It requires immense courage to go against everything society has taught about love. We've been conditioned to equate self-love with selfishness, independence with coldness, sovereignty with isolation. But in truth, sovereignty is what makes authentic union possible. When you choose yourself first, you are not rejecting your twin. You are inviting them into a higher vibration of love. You are saying, I will not abandon myself to love you. I will love you from the fullness of who I am. That declaration changes everything. And here's the secret few ever realize. When you finally reach that state, when you stop chasing, stop waiting, stop trying to force anything, your twin flame may return. But even if they don't, you will have gained something far greater: yourself. You will have become the embodiment of divine love itself, complete, radiant, magnetic. And from that frequency, every aspect of your life will begin to transform. New opportunities, new people, new forms of abundance will be drawn to you naturally. Because when you are love, love cannot stay away. Jung's work led him to one profound conclusion. The highest form of human relationship is not dependence, but conscious interdependence. Two individuated souls choosing, freely and continuously, to love each other without losing themselves. True love is not about finding your missing half. It's about becoming whole and then meeting another whole who mirrors your completeness. It's about two integrities celebrating each other, not two fragments clinging for survival. That is what twin flame union is ultimately meant to teach. If these words resonate in your heart, if you feel your soul stirring because you recognize this truth, then this is your turning point. This is the moment to stop waiting and start embodying. Turn inward. Choose yourself. Reclaim your light, your joy, your creativity. Let your love become the frequency that magnetizes everything aligned with your highest path. And write these words, not for me, but as a declaration to the universe. I choose myself first, because the moment you truly mean it, the universe will rearrange itself to meet you there. The path of the twin flame is not a tragedy of separation, but a journey of awakening. And your awakening begins the instant you remember you were never meant to chase love. You were meant to become it.